I would even think that perhaps the people who censored his writings might have thought that Moshe Isserles would be happy we censored him, precisely because they might have justified it by saying if he was around today, he'd see that despite what he wrote, people would be inclined to, as Rabbi Israel Silverman does, to actually use the responsum to justify further violation of this law. So I'm speculating here, but the reason for removing the responsum in two separate printings, different publishers, was because of a fear that this would lead people to do exactly what Moshe Isserles was worried about. They would read it and read this responsum and say, well, you see, it's not so bad. It's not so terrible.
Mhm.
Justification can be offered. Maybe I won't drink this at home, but if I'm on the road and this has practical implications. So much so that when the responsum, after it was censored, later rabbis didn't even realize they saw references to this responsum. They thought that it couldn't be authentic. It must have been put in by various clerics. And the Chai Yadam, Avram Danzig, actually, who knew about this responsum, was convinced it was put in by some troublemakers, heretics, because he couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And and it only was put in again in the edition published by Rabbi Asher Siv in 1971, this edition published in Jerusalem. But look, the responsum is cited, it's quoted by so many people. So, I mean, they didn't know it was authentic, other than a few.
Mhm.
But the idea of you wanted to remove it because of what this could lead to, and perhaps it could have led to things like that. We know, for instance, in other countries as well, they did not drink kosher wine and they drank non-Jewish wine, I should say, and they would have been all too happy to see such a responsum justifying them.